What's up, Miss Boys? My name is Adam Gray, and this is my story. If you hear a noise in the back, that's my brother. Once upon a time, I was bowling. Chilling on the couch in the middle of the summer, the cool AC air alleviating me from the scorching heat outside. I took a sip of my freshly squeezed lemonade. That's the stuff. I let out in pure ecstasy. My parents were at work, and it was just my brother and I at home. It was during summertime, during the day. And life was good. Life was simple. However, that day, my mom had prepared brownies for us and gave us strict instructions not to eat it until she had returned home. Me, of course, being the older sibling, I had to make sure to abide by those rules and enforce it to make sure my younger brother followed suit. So, for a large portion of the day, we were bowling, letting the day pass our prepubescent young minds like we never knew the concept of time to begin with. But then I heard it. Ding! 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 The alarm had gone off. The brownies were ready. I leapt up from the couch and scurried over to the oven, and as I opened, a gushing flow of erotic, chocolatey air seduced my nose, intertwining all of my senses. I nearly gave in to the sheer seductive temptation of this chocolatey delight, but I had to hold back. As being the older sibling, my word was law in this household, and I had to withhold order. I cautiously leapt away from the oven, taking great care to not fall for its seductive charms. I carefully walked over to the kitchen drawer just across from the oven. I pulled out the oven mitts and braced myself for reapproaching the infernal stove, holding my breath to avoid taking any chances. My tiny hand took each side of the oven rack and gently lifted it off the blazing metal rack. I placed the oven rack down and gasped for air as I had backed up, since I hadn't taken a single breath since approaching. My job was done, and now it was time to go back to bowling. The brownies are done. I looked at the corner of my eyes to see my brother approaching from the computer. Yeah, I replied hastily. Make sure not to touch it until Mom gets home, though. As an older brother, I had to maintain the law in this household. But I'm hungry now, my little brother replied. Our eyes locked. I and Blink, we were both athletes whose movement could escape the naked eye. Don't blink. Don't blink. I cracked, and I saw a flash of brown as my eyes closed, and my brother retreating from the kitchen. I sped after him, the brownie locked in my sights. He didn't even make it past the living room television when I tackled him to the ground. In desperation, he crammed the fresh brownie into his tiny mouth and put his hands up in desperation. A slight smile spread across his face. He thought he had won. But I don't lose. I raised my hand and brought it down like God's wrath into his face hole. My fingers moved like a spider crawling around the inside of his mouth until I found the target. I trudged the brownie out of his mouth and held it up, a chewed-up, saliva-covered trophy. And as my brother lay there, gagging, coughing on the ground, I sat there, my hand held high in accomplishment, knowing that my job was done.